A lot of these products that are available in the market, be it your snacking bars, healthy bars, your protein powders, they might have certain bold claims to it. But you think a lot of them might not deliver what they are claiming?
There are definitely a lot of brands in the market now that are coming up with healthy snacking products. Not all are healthy, as you say. Like, these bold claims sometimes don't fall to be true when you just turn the label and just look at the back, because what happens is they are claiming to be completely healthy, but when you look at the nutrition facts and you look at the ingredients, they have a lot of ingredients that you won't know about. They are using some chemicals, they're using emulsifiers, they will call it sugar free but they'll use maltodextrin.
So according to you, what are the top 3 ingredients that might be present in all these unhealthy snacks that you should absolutely avoid?
One is palm oil. That is like a big no-no today. Cardiovascular heart attacks or other events that are happening is because of the palm oil content in products, because that has a lot of trans fat.
A lot of people have this misconception that healthy can often be boring and not so tempting and tasty, right?
Mine is backed by my mom's recipes and her curation. She's ensured that there is taste in every product. So having a product profile that is tasty at the same time healthy can be done.
Hello everyone and welcome to Brew and Banter. So how often do we actually sit and think about all the ingredients, the added preservatives that actually go in the snacks that we consume on a regular basis? We don't even realize that the snacks that we're munching on when we are probably working or studying or chilling with our friends and family can be way more harmful for us than we even realize. And on today's podcast, I have Komal Kadappa, who is the founder of Nutrizy. And their brand specializes in making over 30 different products. They have protein bars, nutrition bars. And I have heard on today's episode, because we want to kind of decode the snacking industry, talk about all the unhealthy snacks, what goes into it, and how we can probably switch to these healthier alternatives. Hello, Komal, and welcome to Brew and Banter. Thank you so much for coming today.
Hi, Rashi. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. You're so young, but you're so influential at this age itself. I'm really happy to be a part of this podcast. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I actually want to start by talking about a very, I think, debatable topic. There are some people who are completely against protein powders, protein shakes, and there are some people who are totally for it.
Absolutely.
I want to know from you, because you've been in this segment of the industry, you have a business in that, you've also done your MBA in healthcare.
Right.
What is your view on this?
Sure. So there is always a dilemma in consuming something that is not natural. So when it comes to powders, tablets, or even gummy bears for that matter, India has not really developed to that extent where you think we can consume some supplement and get that amount of optimal nutrition in your body. However, what we do as a brand is try to create protein in a natural format. So we try to incorporate nuts and seeds, and we make bars out of it. We have protein powders as well, but there's nothing wrong with a protein powder. It's just that you need to understand that it is something which is important for the body, because being a vegetarianly dominant nation that we are in, we do not consume as much protein as required. So there's always this myth, or there is this fad that some people might consume it for a while and then they stop eventually. They have not made it a part of their lifestyle. So what we do is we try to create products that would be enjoyable. So you're consuming protein not only as a protein powder, of course that is a supplement which today we consume post-workout, pre-workout, or maybe just in a smoothie in the morning. But I think it could be had in much enjoyable ways, which, as a snack bar, or it could be incorporated in your pancakes. You can just add a protein powder into, your chapati also, for that matter. So you can incorporate protein powders in various formats, which I feel we can experiment and, add that protein, which is essential for the body.
So there's this, myth that protein is only for gym goers. People who are going to the gym. So
Right.
you think that's not true, right?
No, not at all. In fact, protein is so important because, as we know today, our diet, Indian diet, is carb dominant.
Okay.
So we consume a lot more chapatis than we consume, vegetables or vitamins for that matter. And protein is like, in India, we have dal, we have legumes. So all these are secondary form of protein. They're not primary.
Okay.
If you're consuming eggs or meat, that's when you're getting like real protein. But plant-based proteins also, we have a lot of options. So when you consume pea protein, for example, plant-based protein,
Yeah.
it is easy on the diet also. It can be added, or you can have a bowl of peas. You can have, something, like paneer, tofu, peanuts. There are a lot of options which can, add to the protein. So I feel our diet lacks it naturally. It is not that we do not practice eating protein, but it could be, formalized. Like, today, educating consumers about having a wholesome meal is very important. Why our country is moving towards a diabetic nation today is because we are not having enough protein in our diet. We are a carb dominant nation. So that misconception that sugar comes only through eating sugar is not true. It is through eating all the 5 white, things that are not good for your health, like breads,
Okay.
Milk, for example, white flour, refined sugar. So all these things are like adding to the sugar in your body. So what we need to do is cut down on all these and try to incorporate more natural protein sources. Or if you cannot, for example, if you are just having, so you should be very, very conscious about having enough protein in your body. Okay. It's not only for gym goers. Gym goers, because they want muscle building, they end up having protein post workout and they calculate how much protein they need to build the muscle. But today, if we don't want muscle loss as we age, we should have an X amount of protein, which is vis-a-vis your weight. So
Okay.
protein is always calculated on what your weight is. So for example, a 60 kg average weight, weight person should be consuming somewhere around 30 to 60 grams protein in a day for a minimum. So there is a ratio which calculates like how much protein, should be consumed on a daily basis. So these things, if we are more conscious about, I think we'll be healthier individuals as we, grow.
Right. So, as you said, our
Yeah.
regular diet may lack protein.
Yeah.
And as a non-vegetarian, maybe we have more options, be it eggs, chicken, etc. But do you think a normal vegetarian diet may lack it more than we think, and they might need it in external forms?
Sure. So it depends. So now if you're having a vegetarian diet where you're having, say, 2 chapatis and a vegetable,
Yeah.
and a portion of dal, you're still getting only somewhere around 7 to 8 grams protein.
Okay.
Okay, so all you need to see is in the day, then you can consume it in your night meal. So if you don't balance it in the day, then in the night, if you're having like some kind of a salad, you can, toss tofu in it.
Okay.
You can toss paneer in it. You can toss sprouts in it. Sprouts are very good. We've been having sprouts in various forms. Like, a lot of our regional dishes have sprouts in it. So I think this can be consumed naturally in our diet, but we have to be conscious, because when we have some salad and a vegetable and roti, then, try to incorporate your salad with that bread that you're having it with. So that, that protein structure is there. Because why protein is important, it breaks down the carbs.
Okay.
So your carb load will keep increasing if you do not consume enough protein. And that's when you have weight gain. That's when you have all the other issues.
Understood. Okay. And as you said,
Yeah.
you use a plant-based protein, right, for your products, right? But there's also whey protein that is there in the market.
Right.
Now, again, that is also pretty debatable. Some
Right.
people say that it has certain artificial ingredients. Not all of it is well made. Do you think certain companies are selling protein, in the name of it being, it adding to your functionality, muscle gain or whatever, but it's actually not correct for your body?
So there are 2 things about whey protein. It's rich animal protein.
Okay.
Okay, and this protein takes longer time to digest in our body. So often when you have these protein powders that are made with whey, they will take, you'll feel inflated. Like, your body will feel like a little bloated. You'll suddenly feel full. Vis-a-vis like plant protein, it dissolves faster in your bloodstream. So, and our diet has been a plant-based diet predominantly.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the reason why we adopt it. It's more sustainable again because it's plant-based. Animal protein is again, it always has this myth that it's not good. I'm not saying it's not good. There's always a good and bad side to anything that you consume. So the only bad thing about it can create gut issues.
Okay.
It can create lactose problems. So we as a nation are a dairy rich nation. So I wouldn't say that we will have much of those issues. But there are brands that make a whey profile. They do not put 80% isolate. So whenever you consume, you look at it that you're consuming 80% isolate as a purest form.
Okay.
Okay, sometimes you'll have a structure where they will add brown rice protein to it. They'll add, some other proteins to it. They might add oats powder to it. So to create that, consistency, smoothness in the whey smoothie that you have or the drink that you have post your workouts, they might create a structure that is not really giving you that much protein.
Okay.
So be careful when you read the ingredients. Look at an 80% isolate. It might have flaxseed powder. Those are good, like omega-6 you're getting through flax seeds. Brown rice protein is also good. I wouldn't say that it's also it's not plant-based, but yeah, it's on that, it's good protein. But don't just look at the ingredients when you consume. Sometimes you miss out, you just look at the bold claims that are there on the front of the package, the first two sentences, and we are sold. So as a consumer, we are not very much aware about looking at the backside of the product. So we as a brand want people to look at the product, see whether it's really delivering honest nutrition, and then only go and make a purchase. Because whey protein, pea protein, it's all expensive because these are pure forms of protein. And you need it for your amino acid structure in the body. So whey has a better amino acid structure than plant protein. So that's why it's consumed more widely than plant protein. Whey protein is more for muscle builders, they say. Like if you want to develop muscle faster, plant protein will take its whole sustained time because it dissolves faster in the body, but the structure takes longer time to build your muscles. But you see a lot of athletes that have become vegan and they are, consuming plant protein versus whey protein.
Right.
So it's always that argument which will always stay, and some of them will choose whey and some of them will choose plant. But we choose plant because it's more sustainable, and we believe that it is much better for your body. So I don't think there's something bad about whey, but it can be consumed, in moderation.
And how does your product development process really look like? When you're using plant protein, can you take us through the entire process of how you'll actually build your products?
Right. So it's a lengthy process. So when I started thinking about launching my venture with my mother, I was just an MBA pass out, with majored in functional foods, and there was a whole new process because we knew that we wanted to develop something healthy. Was it with nuts and seeds? Was it something natural? We both, she and me both are vegetarian. So we said, let's develop something that will, be vegetarian. And, it would be something that would have nuts and seeds put together using plant-based options to create a good product. So the steps in this are you first create a prototype of the product.
Okay.
With the ideas. So it's a scientific study, what is the structure that you want in the product? Do you want more protein? Do you want more fiber? Do you want more vitamins?
Okay.
So my mom, she's the brain behind the product. So she decides let's create something where, now consumers are lacking some protein in their body or they're lacking vitamin C. So we created an orange amaranth bar, which is like a millet bar, which, gives you natural vitamin C through orange in it. So if you look at the process, you first create a prototype, then after that you test it. You test it in the, you give it to a lab, a third-party lab. You look at the profile structure. Is it matching what, we want the target results to be? After that, you can either consult your food consultant. So we've partnered with UDCT professionals and IIT Bombay, to this. So they help us to analyze whether the product is perfect or not. They will, maybe give it a little bit tweak to make the texture perfect. So what happens is in a product, one thing is the texture, one thing is the taste, third thing is the shelf life. So is the product commercially ready for the market? There might be some ingredients that, we must have put in it which perish faster than they should. So, adding some natural, we use rosemary oil extract. So that supports the nuts and seeds to, stay away from rancidity. So then that is that process takes place. After that comes a shelf life study. That's there also you have real time. So real time you keep the product in 0 to 50 degree temperature, chambers where the product is tested either for 6 months, 12 months. So you put a target, like, I want the product to be 6 months. After 6 months, you do an accelerated study also. So there 1 week is 1 month. So in the chambers, you get a result in 6 weeks for 6 months.
Okay.
12 weeks, 12 months. So then after that, the last thing is the packaging. So when you have to decide on the packaging right in the start when you're placing the product in shelf life study. Then comes like creating the graphics around it, and then putting the claims, which is compliant with FSSAI. So you need to put what product it is, a proprietary food product, what category does it fall in. So you need to have a very compliant nutrition label also before you print it in the final print. Then comes the product, you test it in the market. You test that product once it's finally ready, give it to a sample audience, like say friends, family, test it with 100, 500 people, see if the flavor note is good, the texture is good, are people accepting it, and then you take a longer run on prints on that product and then commercially launch it to the market.
Okay.
So like there are like 4 to 5 steps that happen. Some brands don't develop the products in-house, but because of our R&D expertise and my mom having formal nutrition experience, she likes to develop the products herself. And she goes with an idea of creating some impact, like not just creating a product that is just having a buzzword, but creating some real value to your body. So these processes take somewhere, any new product takes around 6 months to launch. 6 months to a year.
Okay. Yeah. So your products are clearly based on pure research and science, and there's a lot of backing with that, right?
Right.
But now a lot of these products that are available in the market, be it your snacking bars, healthy bars, your protein powders, they might have certain bold claims to it.
Yeah.
But do you think a lot of them might not deliver what they are claiming, because some people don't really know how to read labels? They just go by the bold claim and then they buy it, and then it doesn't give those results.
Absolutely. So there are definitely a lot of brands in the market now that are coming up with healthy snacking products. Not all are healthy, as you say. Like, these bold claims sometimes don't fall to be true when you just turn the label and, just look at the back. Because what happens is they are claiming to be, completely healthy. But when you look at the nutrition facts and you look at the ingredients, they have a lot of, ingredients that you won't know about. They are using some chemicals, they're using emulsifiers. They will call it sugar-free, but they'll use maltodextrin. So we do not use any of these kind of sweeteners or binders. We use honey, coconut, palm, jaggery, date paste in all our products. So we do not believe, and whatever we source also, all these comes from farms. So our honey comes from a farm in Ahmedabad, Uttarakhand. We get our coconut, palm, jaggery from a farm in Tamil Nadu. So we ensure that even our supply chain is very clean. The ingredients that we use, we're also helping farmers directly. We're not having middlemen involved. So we want to be an honest nutrition brand. But whereas other brands in the market, they might just say that they are healthy on the front. They might say 26 grams protein, those bold claims that you're mentioning. Those claims are like put like in like block letters, but when you look at the ingredient profile, they have oils in it. Like they might have palm oil, vegetable fat. So be very aware about not choosing products that are having palm oil, vegetable fat, or any ingredient that you don't understand. Look it up before buying it, because you're putting a lot in your body, because these products that are claiming to be healthy and they're using maltodextrin, you will also read a small claim on that label down saying creates laxative effects.
Okay.
So, consumers don't understand, and they might consume 2 to 3 to 4 bars, not realizing what's happening to your gut, what's happening to your body. So, these claims can mislead consumers. Thanks to Mr. Revant, if you heard of him, he's Food Pharma of India. He's trying to dictate, how to read a label. He's saying, Padega India to Badega India, right? So, I'm so glad that we have him today to, educate people that brands exist that are clean label. And there are multinationals who are, claiming to be really, nutritious, or, they're claiming some things that are false claims. So I think you should be a very aware consumer today. We have social media. We have so much knowledge that we can pick from. We have apps that can read a label.
Okay.
So in fact, even he's launched an app called Truthin, where, there are, if you want to just scan and understand whether the product, it gives a score, whether the product is really good or not.
Okay.
So I feel like India is slowly moving towards a more aware consumer market, which will help brands like us to grow, because we want to create that impact, a real impact, not create a false impact and last for just, you know, a year or two, just ride on that buzzword and, you know, close down. We've been there for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So we feel like we are here for the long run. So give only quality to consumers. Don't make false claims.
Right.
And even like claiming the right things like, you know, protein, calorie value. So put things which consumers will pick your product about, but don't put any false ingredients in it which will lead to, you know, mislead them to, you know, choose something wrong.
So there's also, when you are saying this, you know, there is proper science back. There are products, and there's also says science versus, you know, pseudoscience, where people are developing products. There's no in-depth research, you know, and then launching it fast.
Yeah.
Whereas products that are probably fully backed with, you know, proper scientific claims, they take a long time, right? To
Absolutely. So there's science and there's pseudoscience. So pseudoscience is all the cherry-picked, you know, products that are just, you know, riding the market, like I told you, for a month or two, and then they die its own death. But I wouldn't want to talk about any brand per se, but there are a lot of brands who are doing that. And, you know, what happens with these brands is they will just, you know, create a real marketing gimmick also, that, you know, they will launch it like, okay, we are, you know, selling say protein puffs or whatever. But when you look at the complete ingredient profile, you will see that they are using white flour. They're using only 2 to 3% of ragi flour in it. Or like, you know, when they're claiming to say it's a millet puff, you expect the millet should be at least 40 to 50% of the
Right.
ingredient profile. But just look at the percentage, because today, as per the FSSAI rule, the ingredient that you're placing on your label, you have to mention the percentage at the back.
Okay.
So if they're calling it a millet puff, look at the millet structure. Like, are they using jawar, bajra, ragi? What is the percentage of it? If you see that it's only 2%, then you know the complete structure is only white flour. And they're just claiming to be a millet puff, but they're not really a millet puff. Even when you look at breads, for that matter, like, you know, when you consume breads, so we've baked it at home ourselves. So when you make a bread that is actually millet based, it is really hard.
Okay.
So, you know, the breads that we get in the market, they have more than 50-60% of white flour in it to give that texture. So today there'll be a lot of, you'll find a lot of brands that will be, you know, using pseudoscience to drive their way through. And a lot of brands that will be using science, like actually backed with, you know, good study, good professionals helping, you know, develop these products, and really, you know, focusing on the lab reports, focusing on the shelf life studies, focusing on ensuring that the product in the market is here to stay for a long run. It's not here for like a year or two. Like there are like 3 products of ours which I launched first, and they're still our hero products.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of brands have to like let go of their products and then, you know, catch on to something new. But if you put a lot of hard work into creating one product only that is great, it will stay. And consumers will not get bored of it. So we have a lot of customers who are still consuming those same bars, you know, since 4 years, and they still, you know, they value this. So this itself is like, you know, it makes us happy.
And I was researching. So when I was researching about, you know, the snacking industry per se, I also read that about 30 to 40% people globally are overweight. And a huge reason behind that are the unhealthy snacks that we consume, be it the chips, you know, the Tetra Pak drinks that we're having. Again, as I said, you know, while studying or while working, we don't even realize that we're munching onto something that can have a lot of side effects. So what are certain side effects that can come from munching on the most unhealthy snacks that are so popular?
So there are a couple of things that when you look at a snack, most of the snacks that, you know, as Indians we consume are very fried. So we've been consuming like very like chips or, you know, other things which have trans fats in it. So always look at a product before you consume and look at that, does it have trans fat? Is it using some kind of palm oil? Is it using some refined oils that are not good for the body? Are they using emulsifiers? Are they using glycerine?
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of these cereals are very sugary, and they have some glaze on it. So they have, you know, they attract kids, also consumers. And, you know, you just look at the fancy packing around it, and then you end up buying that product. But it is not really good for the body. Today, we are seeing that we are also, I think, second largest overweight nation, you know, across the globe, other than being diabetic also. is because we are not consuming, like they say you should have a good breakfast when you leave for the day. You end up having something that is not really having the complete protein, carb, fiber structure. You're not going to have sustained energy.
Yeah.
So important is to have sustained energy. And if you look at high sugar packed products which you consume in between meals, or you consume as, so what happens, your insulin spike is really fast, and your energy drop is also very fast.
Yeah.
So always look at consuming products that have less sugar value, like less than 3 to 5 grams sugar per serving. So always look at, if you look at a bar that is not very high calorie, not very high in sugars or trans fats, because these, some of the healthy snacking variants will also have these claims. But unhealthy snacking is still a huge part of, our diet. Like, in between lunch and our dinner, we end up having a lot of things that are not really good for the body. So today we're creating options so that you can, switch these, like, cookies for that matter also. You look at biscuits, like you consume, they're made with white flour. You'll find a lot of millet cookies that are there in the market, but why not swap it with a bar that is giving you protein?
Yeah.
So this is today unhealthiness, or like, overweight, children, also having products that are unhealthy because parents are also busy. They are just consuming, they go to a supermarket, they pick up something that is nice and shiny, but that's really not really adding any good impact or a healthy impact to the body. So look at products from a holistic perspective before picking it up, rather than just picking it up, looking at, these are, this must be good because this is like doing rounds in the market, people are having it, so let me also try it. So you have that Me Too kind of approach where, today consumers are not picking up the products very intelligently. They're still picking up products based on the packaging or based on, just tastefulness, because unhealthy, products. Today, why are people overweight? Because there are a lot of products that are fried and have GMO in it. So genetically modified, ingredients are put in these products. Also, you have MSG, which you must have heard of, like monosodium glutamate.
Right.
So these are things that make you addictive. So a child having chips will have MSG in it. It makes that child feel that I need to keep having more and more.
Right.
So there are a lot of ingredients that are really like a big no-no, like, they are red flag on your ingredient list on. And a lot of countries have banned, these kind of products that are having these ingredients in it. A lot of debate against, again, MSG as well. But I feel like ideally avoid products that has the content in.
So according to you, what are the top 3 ingredients that might be present in all these unhealthy snacks that you should absolutely avoid?
Yeah. One is palm oil. That is like a big no-no. Today, cardiovascular, heart attacks or, other events that are happening is because of the palm oil content in products, because that has a lot of trans fat. So body takes a long time to break that fat, and it gets accumulated in your bloodstream and creates blockages, and that could lead to a heart attack, like what I was mentioning about. Second being any kind of MSG or high sodium. So when you look at any products that have a very high sodium load or MSG in it, it will make you want to have that product more and more. And that's like training your brain to have it more and more, and becomes difficult to let go. So a lot of children are addicted to a few products that have MSG in it, which is not really good for the body.
Yeah.
So third being emulsifiers. So emulsifiers, they create a good product profile. Like, it does not allow the product to melt, or the texture of the product remains intact. So what happens is these are all chemicals that are not good for the body. Glycerine. So you look at emulsifiers or glycerine or any of these things in the product, these are just to enhance the look of the product. It is not really adding value to your body. So when you look at these top 3 things, you try to avoid that. And white flour. So I might add maybe one more point to, top 3 would be your any kind of oils in the product, like palm oil, trans fats creating, and then the second one that I mentioned, last being white flour. Okay. So try to avoid white flour as much as possible, because it's very sticky inside the body. It takes a long time to digest. Another very local snack that I can tell which we can avoid is papad. So papad, yeah, because it's very, very high in the sodium load and it takes around 48 hours to digest.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and we consume it. So popular by popular
country.
So we can launch, we can definitely look at, some papads that might launch with lesser salt load, but because it has to stay that long on the shelf, has high salt load in that product.
Okay, I'm going to rethink every time I have a papad now.
No, I think it can be had in moderation.
Yeah.
But we go to a restaurant and, in Indian restaurants, masala pa and you get a basket of papas, and before the food comes, you don't know how much you already had. And that's going to take like 48 hours to digest.
Okay.
So you might feel like, fuller for those 2-3 days, but you won't realize because we've been having this as we've grown.
Kids, yeah.
So these are a few things that, have in moderation. I won't say like avoid completely, but yeah, the top 3 to 4 ingredients which I mentioned,
Avoid.
Yeah.
And as you also said, right, a lot of these ingredients can be very addictive. And I realize that I'm not like a big snacker in general, but sometimes when you're at work, that's at around 4 or 5 p.m. you're really hungry.
Yeah.
And in our canteens, more often than not, you have chips that are easily available, right?
Yeah.
And when you have them, you actually feel like full, but then I feel sleepy instantly, or I feel like lethargic after that.
Yeah.
So does that happen when you have?
Sure, because it's high carb, it's fried, so it's giving you an immediate energy.
Yeah.
But it's not sustained energy. So when you consume a very high carb ingredient like potatoes, for example, your energy spike you will feel really happy for that half an hour, but then you will feel very sleepy, after, because this is not really giving you sustained energy because that insulin spike and drop is very quick. So rather have products that, maybe have a bar that has oats in it. So that will give you sustained energy, or maybe have something that have some kind of protein value to it. So don't just pick it up because it's there. And it's also very important for brands like us to make it convenient for consumers to be there, in their cafeterias or be there in vending machines, because this is the time our product comes in. This is the time when you have that, low levels and you're really hungry and you don't know what to eat, and you just pick up. That is convenient, but often that is not really good for the body, and you will end up having that low energy. And what happens when you suddenly have that lethargic feeling is you end up snacking more.
Right.
You go home and you will have dinner as much as you should have. You might have double possibly. So there are two downsides to having really high carb products or fried products that are not good for the body. You might end up consuming a lot more than you need later on when you have that low feeling, and also it is not good for the body because it's adding to a lot of weight in your body. Breaking it down is going to make you consume a lot more protein to break it down. So it's like a big cycle that you get stuck in. So rather, choose products that maybe might take time to find it, or maybe, stock up or stack some. It's easy to carry, nuts and seeds also in your bags. Like rather have like a handful of seeds. Seeds are often not valued as much as nuts. We are a nut dominant nation. A lot of our mithai has nuts in it. So, and we've been consuming nuts in the day, like mom would give us almonds before going to school or whatever. But seeds are not really given that importance, but seeds are very good. So seeds should be incorporated. So you have flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. So pumpkin seeds are great if you want to let go of your sugar cravings. So it has high magnesium. You will feel energetic also after consuming like a handful of them. So, look for these options that are much better than, consuming a pack of chips.
Yeah. And again, since your company is creating and producing healthier alternatives, right? To all these unhealthy snacks. But a lot of people have this misconception that healthy can often be boring and not so tempting and tasty, right? What is one thing that you can tell people who think that way to kind of break and bust that myth in their minds?
Sure, there are a lot of healthy snacking options that are actually not tasty. So that's why you have this fear to consume them, because you feel like it's very, very powdery, and after having 2 to 3 bites of it, you're like, okay, I cannot consume more of this product. Right? I'm done. I'm not going to have this as a part of my lifestyle, and I can only have it on a short-term basis once in a while. What brands like ours should do is, because mine is backed by my mom's, recipes and her curation. She's ensured that there is taste in every product. So having a product profile that is tasty at the same time healthy can be done. It is not that hard, but it of course takes a lot of effort to, choose the right ingredients and use the right binders to make that product. Mostly our healthy snacking products today are on the sweeter side, but we're coming up with some savory variants too in the future, which will be more palatable to Indians. They're not a very sweet nation. We are more of, consuming salty, savory, tangy, snacks that are having that punch. So we are also launching that because we've understood the flavor profile of consumers. So very important to make it healthy, because today our brain works faster than what we consume, right? So we always would choose something that is tasty over something that is healthy.
Yeah.
So why not have a mix of both, an amalgamation of both, to make consumers have that? And I think our products are like a good example to have a mix of both.
And again, you use more natural sweeteners, which are way more healthy for us than sugar.
Right.
And you might, since you are in the food industry, you might know how harmful sugar is, right?
Absolutely.
I want you to tell the audience how harmful can consuming sugar be, more than we even realize.
Sugar is poison, like they say. It's like a drug. Basically, your brain wants more and more of it, and this is a drug that is naturally you're consuming daily. So if you look at even consuming chocolates, if you consume one, you want to consume another one, you want to consume the third one. So what happens is sugar gives a trigger in your brain that you want more, and that's when you start consuming more and more. And then that's why we are moving towards a diabetic nation, because the awareness of the harm that sugar load can cause. And it's not that I don't consume sugar. I love chocolates too, and I love my bars. So they definitely has some kind of, but use natural sugars.
Yeah.
Don't consume refined sugar. So even in your kitchen, try to avoid having that, white packet sugar. Maybe, go for switch to a little more safer way and go for raw sugar.
Okay.
Brown sugar, raw sugar. You get Conscious Food. They have this raw sugar. Today you have a lot of brands that are bringing in non-refined sugars also. Maybe, and try to avoid having your beverages with sugar.
Okay.
So a lot of these sodas, I never consume any of these sodas. Like, I don't like Coca-Cola. I mean, I don't want to take names, but I'm just saying, when you are consuming these sodas, they have a huge amount of sugar in it. So sugar can be even having 2 spoons of sugar, whereas sugar can be present in some of your packaged products that have a huge amount of sugar in it. So, always look at avoiding these sodas when you go to parties, or you go, look at more natural, options. Like, go for a fresh juice rather than, going for like a Coca-Cola, or having some of these club sodas or whatever they are. So I avoid any ingredients or any packaged food that has a huge sugar load. It could be sugar in the form of, some flours might have sugar in. So, you might have to avoid. So every time you have to look at a label.
Yeah.
Every time you read a label better, you will choose better. So sugar can be very, very poisonous. So I would recommend the audience to be very careful when you consume. So limit. There's always a certain level that is good for you.
Yeah.
So don't always get a daily value intake. When you look at how much calories you consume in a day, how much sugar can you consume in a day, limit it to that.
Okay.
Don't overdo it, because sugar makes you have more and more. It creates that addiction in your body to have more of it, and then at the end of the day you can't get away with it. So you look at a lot of people who are diabetic, they still crave for sugar. They still crave, and it's very hard to stop them from having it, because your mind is making you want to have it. So if you can reduce your sugar load in the start itself, is the best. Before 40, they say 40s is when you need to focus on your your health, and that's when you have a drop in your complete macros in your body, because you're working, you're hustling, at the same time you're consuming products that are unhealthy, high in sugar. Stress load is more. Stress can also create a lot of problems in your body. So when you're not consuming healthy at this time, you're going to definitely move towards having lifestyle diseases. So better to, cut down and have limits.
And again, diabetes is rampant in India. Diabetes is growing at a very fast pace. And obviously sugar can cause it, but a lot of these unhealthy snacks can also cause diabetes.
Yeah, yeah. So as we, like I mentioned in the start, that we are a carb dominant nation. So the carb load also increases the sugar in our body, because to break it down, if you're not consuming enough protein, you're going to have a lot more sugar in your body than you should. So the insulin secretion starts reducing slowly, slowly, slowly. So what happens is in this, and then you have to take insulin shots to balance your sugar levels. All this can be avoided if you can consume a high fiber diet also, like have a lot of chia seeds, sabja in local term, like we naturally have been consuming this since we were young, but we don't mindfully consume it. If you mindfully consume high fiber products and high protein products, you will never have sugar. Look at your body as very sacred.
Right.
Always satisfy your body with putting in the right nutrition in your body, exercising. That feel good factor, the endorphins are released when you exercise. So you need not consume a chocolate to feel happy. You can exercise and get the same feeling.
Yeah.
So it's like choosing or being mindful about what you do.
And your choices.
Your choices, they matter. And I feel like consumers today are moving towards.
Yeah, we are definitely moving to.
I'm happy to see Gen Z, and I'm happy to see your age group. I'm not seeing much unhealthiness in your, I'm seeing most of this audience is fit. Like, they are very mindful about what they consume, because they're so out there on the social media. They know what is right for them. They know what is not right. Today, the age group that is not really healthy is somewhere between 45 to 65.
Right, yeah.
So I'm happy that the urban consumers today, or the youngsters, are moving towards a healthier format. But it should be educated, and that education should be given in school itself. So if today, like I mentioned about Mr. Raven, the fruit farmer, he's creating sugar boards in schools, even municipal schools. He's gone to like small villages and put like how much sugar will Coca-Cola give you, and that bag of sugar is there. Vis-a-vis how much there's negligible sugar in chas.
Okay.
So I now consume something that is more localized and gut friendly, like probiotic again, dahi or yogurt, or what we are consuming locally. That is much better than having these sugary drinks. So it's very easy. Nutrition is very easy if we give a thought to it and consume it in the right way.
And another very popular thing in our Indian household is that in the morning with chai, a lot of people have their biscuits or snacks, and they dip it in the chai and they have it.
Right.
And it is said that can be really unhealthy for us, right?
Very unhealthy. In fact, chai itself is unhealthy.
Okay.
So the toxin value that comes with chai and putting that first thing in your body is not good. You start your day with like warm water, vitamin C. So you add like a lime juice to it, or you add like have an orange juice. Have something that is giving your body a kickstart. Don't put in toxins in the start itself. So we are used to waking up and having chai. Now body is used to it, and we cannot do away with it. And having these biscuits is high sugar biscuits, which glucose biscuits, or it's given a name that it's glucose. I don't know why we still consume it. So this is something that should be avoided. You can rather have good breakfast options with some protein involvement in it. With your chai, it is fine, but I feel don't start your day with that. Start your day with warm water. Then you can have some nuts and seeds. They say good fats, healthy fats are very important when you begin your day. So have a handful of nuts and seeds before you start your day, because your gut lining needs that to digest what you consume in the whole day. So what you put in your body early morning is also very important. And that's also again a lifestyle change, right? Nothing is going to happen overnight. The more you are informed, the more you study about it, the more you read about it, or you look at social media, and there are a lot of influencers today who are fitness influencers. A lot of doctors have become influencers. Great doctors there giving advice. So I feel follow that. It will give positive impact to your body in the long run.
Right. But if someone is too used to, munching on like their biscuits in the morning, do you think switching to a nutrition bar is better?
Much better. The only thing is what we're coming up now is bite size, of bars, because a biscuit is say 10 grams.
Yeah.
Our bar is like 40 grams, 50 grams. So consumers feel that, it's too much to consume, because we also consume breakfast, right? Abroad, it's like they will just have a smoothie and they'll have a bar.
Right.
But in India, we have a huge amount of breakfast options, and we have a lot of local dishes that we make. So we cannot completely create a shift, but our products can be had alongside your chai, because it's better than a biscuit, because at least you're getting a protein profile with it, some fiber with it, and not as sugary as a glucose biscuit, right?
Right.
So we're also launching some cookies in the long run, which would, be a good alternative to biscuits.
So, reading labels is very important, and we've kind of spoken about that through the podcast. And a lot of people do not understand a few ingredients that go in, and we don't understand how much content it should have versus it shouldn't have.
Right.
So, today I really want us to kind of help decode and have the audience understand how they can read labels and understand what's good versus what isn't.
Right.
We have a few products, like a lot of them are kept here, but now you can tell us whatever you're gonna talk about.
So there are few things when you look at a product. There are a lot of macros that you look first at the front label of the product,
Okay.
right? So now our bar, it has 8 grams protein. It's a 40-gram bar. First, you look at the serving size. So how you decode is look at the serving size. One, that it's 40 grams. Second, what are the good things in it? So here it's mentioned that it has 8 grams protein. It has low calories, so the calorie count is low. No trans fats, and we're using some good natural sweeteners in it. So we're not using refined sugar.
Okay.
So there are a few steps that I want the consumers to look at a label, like how to decode is. One is look at the serving size. Second is look at the ingredients that are not good. Look at the amount of trans fats. If it's a product that is having a lot of trans fats, avoid it.
So what are trans fats for people that might not know exactly?
So trans fats are, fats that are not good for the body. We have saturated fats that are good fats for the body. So you have good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, correct?
Okay.
So saturated fats come from, good ingredients also, like your nuts and seeds. So if a product has nuts and seeds and has saturated fat, that means coming from cashew nuts, or it's coming from good fats that are coming from the ingredients. But trans fats are something that maybe if the product is fried, or, the product is using palm oil, it's using vegetable fat, or something that is not good. So it will have trans fat. So avoid that. Whenever you see a product that has any kind of say 2 grams, 3 grams, I will definitely avoid it.
Okay, understood.
Third being, look at the beneficial nutrients in the product. So if you look at the protein, the fiber, potassium, calcium, vitamin load. So look at, first you limit on ingredients that are not good, then you look at what are the beneficial ingredients in that product. Last, check the daily value percentage. So every product gives you a daily value percentage.
Okay.
So based on a 2000 calorie diet, an Indian diet is approximately 1600 to 2000 calories.
Okay.
So it will mention, some labels will mention, some labels won't mention, but you can look at that if it's say 8% of your daily value protein. So you know that you have to only consume the rest of the percentage from your other.
Understood.
So you don't, sometimes what happens is when you think a product is good, you consume a lot of it. That's also not good.
Yeah.
Always have it in limits. And the last B, when you look at the complete profile, now here you look at the ingredients at the back. So whatever ingredients that you kind of market on the front side usually has to be given in percentages at the back. So like, we are putting 16% of peanut oats in it. So we are showing that it's a granola bar, right? So if there are, if you're adding some kind of flours to it and there's not enough oats in it, then it's actually masking, the product, just giving a claim. But here we're putting 7 to 8% almonds, we're putting 8% blueberries, we're putting 5% pistachio, we're putting flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts. So take top 5 ingredients and read the ingredients. Then we are using, like I said, rosemary extract oil, and we're using a natural flavor that is mixed berry.
And is the percentage also mentioned?
But percentage is mentioned on the.
Okay.
So when you look at your labels also, like I will show you, a millet bar. Is this bar? Here it's like an espresso, quinoa espresso, but it's a millet bar. Here it's 100% gluten free. So these are the macros you look at first. But when you read the label, you always turn behind and you look at the daily value percentage with what you're consuming, right? So when you look at total fats, look cholesterol, sodium, total carb load. So total carb load will include your fiber and also your total sugars.
Yeah.
So always look at anything that has more than 3 to 4 grams fiber is a good product.
Okay.
Anything that has less than that and is claiming to be high fiber and it has less than 3 to 4 grams sugar in a fiber in a 30-gram product, don't consume it because it's claiming something else. Yeah, it's claiming to be high fiber but it's not really high fiber. So I'd also got like a nutrition label of this product which I was showing you. So when you look at this, it's the blueberry bar, right? It has around 180 calories in a 40-gram bar. The protein is around 7 to 8 grams. Okay. The total carb here is around. So when you look at the daily value, you can see that the protein you're getting through this bar itself is 14%, which is good for your body.
Good for you.
Right? You're consuming already 14% through a bar.
And how much do you usually need in a day?
At least 60 to 70% you can consume.
And the rest you can consume via your normal
Yeah, normal diet.
Okay, understood.
So try to consume at least, your diet should be 50% protein, they say. So if you're consuming 14 to 20% through a product that is, natural and healthy and giving that protein value is good. You need to only consume a little more protein in your other diets to, complete that protein value that your body needs.
Okay.
Last being your fat. So now, like I mentioned, saturated fat that is coming from the nuts in this, right? We're using pistachios and we're using flax seeds. Flax seeds also have good fats, good cholesterol. So that's good for the body. Trans fats is 0.003, that is negligible. So we do not have any trans fats, but you have to still mention. So where some brands will just say 0, but that's not correct, right? You need to still show what is the actual value, exact value. Monosaturated, polysaturated, these are good fats. So when you have an LDL and HDL in cholesterol, so these are your good fats in your body. So this is all coming from the good ingredients that you're using.
Okay.
So we test even this. Some brands will only give this much, but we try to give like a more robust and a more understandable nutrition chart so that consumers today understand that this is a really honest product and it's not claiming to be clean label, but it's actually clean label.
Understood. So a lot of the brands that might claim something and show something else, on the main front they claim something, but if you read the ingredients, it'll be something completely different.
So like look at this bar, like this is a high protein bar, it's vegan. So here's like, suppose here I've given the macros that here it's 18 grams protein in a 50-gram bar. It's plant-based, it's non-GMOs, gluten-free. But at the back, we always look at it. So now here we are putting pea protein isolate 80%, like I mentioned. So around 17% of this bar is having the isolate.
Okay.
So already you're getting like pure form of protein in this bar, which is almost 18%. Then you have peanut butter, which is like 30% or 40% peanut butter. We are putting gram flour, which is like naturally had as protein in our diet. So to add a little bit of a natural flavor to it. So that is around 5%. And then we have choco chips and tapioca syrup and rosemary oil extra. That's it. So it should be as simple as that. It should have 7 to 10 ingredients max. Rather 5 is also good.
And not too overtly complicated.
Not complicated, no chemicals, no emulsifiers, no terms that you don't know about. A lot of times you will look at, oh, what is this? Like
you don't know about it.
You don't know about it. So that's something you need to be a little worried about then, that okay, I don't know what this. It could be something you don't know, which is also good. So always look it up before you don't just look at the front. Always look at the back. Look at the ingredients. Also look at the nutrition label, the serving size, and sometimes what brands do is like cereals, which are multinationals selling these cereals, they will show serving size with 1 glass milk. So there's no protein in their product, but the protein is actually coming from 1 glass milk. So whenever you look at serving size, why is it important? Look at it whether it's only that 30-gram product nutrition table that they've given, or they've given it adding another product. These are smart ways to market, which multinationals do. They will not.
And we often fall for it.
We, if we're looking at a nutrient, we're just looking at the macros. They're not really looking at, the protein is coming actually from consuming 1 glass of milk with this.
Okay.
So these are the gimmicks that, people play with. But brands like I want to try to,
As real as possible.
keep it as real as.
Yeah. And I also wanted to do like a this or that segment with you. I have like 5 like this or that options. I want you to choose from that, right?
Yes.
Granola bars versus protein bars. What is better according to you?
So basically, I would not say this or that. It depends what the consumer really wants. If they want to not have targeted protein in their body, go for a nutrition bar, because a nutrition bar also will give you 8 to 10 grams protein, whereas a protein bar will give you 18 to 20 grams or maybe 25 grams protein also.
Okay.
So depending on what you want, if you already consumed enough protein in the day, go for a nutrition bar. If you've not consumed enough protein, go for a protein bar.
Right.
So there is no this or that in this, but it is more like either or depending on your consumption pattern on that day.
Correct. Understood. And sweetened with honey or dates? What is better?
Dates.
Okay.
Honey also is good. So I would say we use both. It's not that either or again in this, because again this or that in this does not work with our ideology. Ideally, dates is more natural.
Yeah.
But the insulin spike is going to be there in both, because
Okay.
both have sugar molecules. But dates is more natural, and honey also is good. But someone who's vegan will not consume a product that is honey.
And sugar-free products versus natural sweeteners.
Natural sweeteners for sure, because sugar-free products will have stevia, or it will have monk fruit, or it will have something which you can try. I won't say you don't try, but there is a limitation on the amount you can consume in a day. Whereas natural sweeteners also, like, we've been having it. We've been having jaggery, or we've been having honey. We've been having these, sweeteners since we've been growing up. So,
Yeah.
putting something that is absolutely new, or sometimes these sugar-free variants are not good.
Okay.
Okay, so try to avoid them. Understand what is actually, why is it sugar free?
Yeah.
How much can you consume? Because anything you consume like sugars, it's a lifestyle changer. If you're going to switch to something that is
Yeah.
sugar free, a lot of people used to have those sugar free boxes, and they used to carry, but they saw a lot of health implications post that, because it would have a lot of side effects.
Okay.
Not your body might not absorb it in the right way. So again, make very
Informed
choices.
Right. And chocolate coated bars or fruit based snack bars? What do you think?
I would say fruit based bars more than chocolate coated, because initially we launched only fruit based bars. We definitely have a millet series which has chocolate in it, but it is 65% dark chocolate. So if you're consuming a chocolate laden bar, look at the composition of chocolate that is going in it. Is it a dark chocolate bar, or is it having a milk chocolate? And milk chocolate, is it having vegetable fat? How much vegetable fat? So when it comes to chocolate also, they say always consume dark chocolate, because it's good for the body. Also because it is high in antioxidants. It is good in some ways. It gives you a little bit of a happiness quotient also.
And if at all people want to have, a glass of Coke,
Yeah.
is Diet Coke better or is regular Coke better?
I would say nor this, nor that. Both are not good. I stopped having, these sodas and beverages of this when I think I was in the 5th or 6th grade. I've not touched it ever since. And the reason behind this is the amount of sugar load that comes into your body, be it diet or be it normal. It's going to have the same implication on your body, because they say that in fact, having, instead of a diet Coke, having normal Coke is better. A lot of people say who really consume it.
Yeah.
But I would say avoid both, because if you have a can of Coke, you should not have any sugar in the day, though. Because that is the amount of sugar you're putting in your body, which is almost equal to what you should have in 2 to 3 days. The sugar load is super high. If you look at the sugar board also, you will see amount of sugar in one can of Coke is like, there's almost around 30 to 40 grams of sugar.
Which is very bad.
Which is very, very bad. Like, you can definitely go on that partially diabetic line if you are, having Coca-Cola, like, a can of Coke on a sustained basis. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's why Americans are, Western countries are facing that challenge of having a diabetic nation, because they are so used to having sodas with their meals. And, it's often on
Yeah.
You know, once you pay for it, you can keep going and
Right,
refilling.
refilling, yeah.
So, you know, you end up consuming a lot. Of course, soda makes you feel like you've digested food, but that's for a temporary basis, you know. It's not really digesting your food. You just feel like, okay, now I feel like my food has settled,
Right,
but it's
right.
not really settled, and it's in fact added more sugar to your body.
Right. So even these Tetra Pak juices and all, are they as bad for health?
Again, you need to look at the ingredients. So mostly they say that you know, a lot of study has been done by, you know, Food Farmer. Like, you know, he's put a lot of claims against a lot of companies who have these packaged juices
yeah.
because they're not really having fruit in it, nor are they having, you know, any kind of real natural ingredients. It's all sugar. So I would say avoid as much as you can have it naturally, have it. Rather, instead of a juice, go for the whole fruit. Because you're, you know, in a juice also, they say the sugar consumption is more because you're letting out the fibers. Unless you're making a juice that is having the fiber intact, like you're making an orange juice with the fibers in and you're not straining it and having, which you get outside, right? They'll make it the feel like the texture is really good, but you know, all your fibers lost in.
Right.
So rather have a whole fruit. As much as you can consume, you know, your products wholesome or ingredients wholesome, it's always better.
Yeah. And you know, now as we are sort of kind of nearing the end of the podcast, I want you to tell the audience one major benefit of eliminating these, like packed food items like your chips that are extremely unhealthy to moving towards healthier snack alternatives like nutrition bars, you know, protein bars that are way more healthy and tasty as well nowadays.
Right. I would say the most important thing is, you know, when you make this shift, your body will feel better overall.
Yeah.
You know, when you say that what you put inside your body is what your body shows externally.
Yeah.
When you look at an individual who is naturally healthy, you know, focused on their fitness, you will see a different glow in them, right? You will see that, you know, their skin is so good.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're not having any kind of outbursts because of having oily foods. You get a lot of acne because of consuming. Of course, acne is also a genetical problem, but other than that, you know, you have very high sugary foods and highly fried, you know, packaged food. It can, you know, also exterior, your body will not feel good. Interior, anyway, it's bad. So if you want to feel good, you try to make lifestyle changes slowly. Like I mentioned, it's not an overnight thing. It is something that you need to do on a sustained basis. Make small changes. They are a key to transformation. Make small changes in your, you know, like I said, morning you have warm water, you know, before you start the day, or, you know, consume a pack of nuts or consume some seeds. Make small changes and you will see that you are feeling much better. Your sugar cravings will reduce. You start exercising, you will feel the need to have protein in your body.
Yeah.
So overall, I feel it's like you will become an individual who's much more aware about your body. You will not have a long-term disadvantage. You will be, you know, very fit. Today, Japanese, why are they known to be the fittest? Because, you know, they never retire also, right? They always want to ensure that, you know, you keep working. You keep consuming healthy meals and focus on making healthy tweaks in your diet on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Only then, this is the biggest takeaway. Just consuming one bar in a week is not going to add any positive impact to your body. Have a bar daily at this time, or maybe have it alternate day. If you don't want to have a bar, maybe the other day have a bowl of sprouts, or you have yogurt, you know, alongside granola. So you're getting you're making changes in your body that, you know, you will appreciate in the long run. You might not see it in the short term, you know, like you might just feel like, okay, I don't know what is really making, I'm happy eating, you know, fried things and I'm happy this way. But you will only see healthy people living the longest. And you will only see them. So you want to be fit, you know, till you die, right? So then might as well make these changes earlier on. COVID was one of the biggest examples of, you know, survival of the fittest. People with comorbidities, you know, lost their lives, unfortunately. But today, if we understand that it's so important to, you know, have a healthy mindset, have a healthy approach towards life, it will, you know, definitely benefit you in the long run.
Right. And on a personal front, if there's one thing that you've learned or an advice that someone's given you through this journey of being the co-founder of a company, what has that been?
There is one thing which my father always tells me is patience. So overnight success is never going to, lead you to have a sustained happiness quotient, right? It is something that you put your hard work, into something that you do. Don't look at the outcome. Keep working hard. Keep pushing yourself to, So they say like having ambition is important, but persistence is the vehicle you arrive in.
Right.
Having that sustained hard work, just focusing on your end goal. Keep doing something good daily. Keep focusing. This is something that my dad is all, and my brother, they both are like my mentors. So my brother also has his own startup, and they've been mentoring us, like mom and me, and they keep telling, go, keep doing good work, keep making products with good ingredients. Consumers will eventually come to your brand, right? They will eventually start liking your brand because of the authenticity that comes with it. So always have that patience in you to see through it that, it is going to take some time for the industry to also understand these products and for them to, really pick on your product. It's all marketing till, you convert a customer. It's going to take some time, but at the end of the day, if you're able to do it in a very formal and a very, I don't know what you call it, but in a very put down manner, like it's all thought after very nicely, then you can definitely achieve the goals. It's an entrepreneur is not easy. You need to motivate yourself daily. You have this podcast. You have to motivate yourself other than your corporate life. That I need to, put myself out there in the evening. Get someone on the podcast. You need to also work on the questions to put. So it's always that effort. That is, a positive effort that you put. Any effort that you put very truthfully, very honestly will always have success eventually.
Yeah.
And it starts small. Everything starts small. And, today there is no limit to grow because we are a young country and the next 20 to 30 years are ours to achieve. So I think we have a bright future.
And I'm so glad you also said this to me, because someone who's just started her podcast, it's just been 3 months that I've been starting it. Being patient is so important. Sometimes it can get a little frustrating or you get impatient as to when you will achieve something, but it's not overnight that you can get like 1 million subscribers. You have to work towards it. And I'll tell you one thing, Rashi, is that focus on celebrating yourself and small wins. Because I remember celebrating wins with my employees where we cut a cake or we had a good celebration in office for hitting 100 shops that we reached, or hitting say an X amount of followers, or achieving the highest sale in the month, or these are like small wins that you can focus on to really feel motivated, because we have to motivate ourselves. Right? As entrepreneurs, we live a very lonely journey. And we're talking to ourselves a lot. You will see that you're talking to yourself, and if you're not going to give positive thoughts to yourself, you're not going to have a positive outcome. Right. So might as well, celebrate your journey as you go, so that this, when you always remember it, it's like a memory that you're creating for yourself. So I feel that the way you held this podcast and got such people on it, even like I told you, like I felt like, I'm so young, and you invited me. You are so young that you're actually holding a podcast. I would only wish you success, because it takes hard work to do something, but it takes that patience to see it through, and I'm sure your podcast will be a success. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sure the audience will get a lot of information, but I actually got so much information, and your products are so nice. I love the packaging. It's so colorful, You literally feel like picking one and having it. So nice. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much for inviting me.